Our power back to New Haven on train 4407. Leaves 150, GP40, PH-3. Well, here we are in Springfield Union Station in Springfield, Massachusetts. And you can see they've done a hell of a job on this place. It was dedicated in 2017. Serves Amtrak to and from Chicago and Boston, down towards New York and DC, also up to St. Albans, Vermont, as well as CT rail trains to and from New Haven. So this has become quite a busy place, but it wasn't always that way. This place is a combination bus and train station. The Vermont Transit, Peter Pan, all those New England-oriented bus lines serving this station. So it's a multimodal transportation center. But I've got memories of this place that are far removed from what I'm seeing in here now. First time I ever came here was in the winter of 1971. This place was a sorry state of affairs. There was limited passenger service here. It was right in the midst of the Penn Central operation of passenger trains, and they certainly didn't like running passenger trains. I walked into this lobby. You could hear the water rushing through the radiators and steam coming out of the radiators. Paint chips were falling to the floor like snowflakes. It was just deserted. It was like a mausoleum in here. And the train service, Penn Central in those days, did everything they possibly could to discourage passenger business. I rode up here on that winter day out of New Haven on a train with one car pulled by a New Haven painted GP9. And you'd think it would take you all the way to Springfield, but no, at Springfield, at Hartford rather, I had to get off and take an RDC to get to Springfield. A one-car RDC. Why couldn't they have run the train through? It was all part of their plot to discourage business. And while I was here, I just saw a couple of passenger trains, and one noteworthy train that I saw, this was on a few months before Amtrak, was Penn Central train 427. It was a Boston to Albany passenger train. It was made up of a Penn Central E8 and a snack bar coach. That's all that was left of the old, once proud New York Central New England states. 427 and 428. Years ago, this was a proud bastion of New Haven passenger trains, Boston and Maine passenger trains, Boston and Albany passenger trains under the ownership of the New York Central. And it was real busy back in the 50s and 60s, and then it died in the 70s, and it was revitalized with Amtrak and further revitalized with CT rail. So it's quite a renaissance for this place. exterior of this 1926 built station. It's cold out here. Okay, we're on train 4407. 1:50 p.m. We're departing Springfield for New Haven. CT Rail 4407. This window's a little dirty, but hopefully when the sun gets out of my face, it'll look a little better. We got GP40 PH-3 6697 powering our train. Get to hear that K5UL URS horn. Departing Springfield Union Station. You can see they had a little snow early this morning, about an inch or so. Shouldn't last too long. Third largest city in the state, Springfield. Right now we're heading due west for a short distance, then we're going to turn to the south at Spring Interlocking. We're paralleling CSX's Boston line here on the right side, but we'll be turning south shortly. They run the GP40 PH3s and the P40s on these trains. Fortunately, we have a Jeep today. EMD rules. Okay, here we're curving to the south. It's a 3-car train made up of 3 former MBTA MBB cars. They call them Messerschmitts. I was here a little over a month ago for the train show. It's rare that I come to Springfield and I don't go to the train show. All right. Downtown Springfield. For a brief period around 1979, 1980, the National Hockey League team, the Hartford Whalers, played in Springfield because their arena, the roof caved in. They played in the Bay State Arena. And if you ever saw the movie Michael Sarandon, I think his name was, Sarrazin, the reincarnation of Peter Proud, much of that movie was filmed in Springfield. This area right around here is where the New Haven Railroad and the Boston and Maine had their engine facility. New Haven ran most of the trains, but the B&M ran a few also. The Ambassadors and the Montreal or Washingtonian back in the 50s and 60s, they used to change engines here from B&M to New Haven and vice versa. Springfield, Massachusetts is famous for having the Basketball Hall of Fame, in addition to probably the biggest train show in the United States. Right now we're paralleling the Connecticut River on the opposite side. And that's Interstate 91, you see, which runs from the Quebec border in Vermont-Quebec border down to New Haven. takes Windsor Locks, Windsor, Hartford, Berlin, I think it's pronounced Berlin, Meriden, Wallingford, State Street, New Haven, and Union Station, New Haven. I believe this building is the Basketball Hall of Fame. Interstate 91 parallels the tracks until about the Connecticut border, and it splits off. Springfield Line from Springfield to New Haven is 62 miles. New Haven days was a busy passenger line. Busy passenger line, the primary trains, the Bankers, Connecticut Yankee, which made the run from New York to Springfield less than 3 hours, Nathan Hale, and a host of nameless trains. Penn Central decimated this line, and Amtrak revitalized it, and CT Rail further vitalized it. Today the line sees a number of Amtrak shuttles, New Haven to Springfield. There's a train each way from Washington to Springfield, plus the Vermonter from Washington to St. Albans. We should be seeing the northbound Vermonter on the route back to New Haven. Connecticut Southern also operates freight service on this line. Passed one going south on the way up here. Okay, we're now in Connecticut. Enfield, Connecticut. It was field interlocking. We've gone from double track to single. Supposedly the plan is to double track it all the way from Hartford to Springfield. So the entire CT rail corridor is double tracked. This area we're going through now is Thompsonville, Connecticut. Amtrak used to stop here, not anymore. You can hear that K2UL AURS, that's a mouthful. Very pretty New England scene here with the snow. That was unexpected. Post 51. flowing. Pretty soon we're going to curve to the west and cross the Connecticut River. There's Interstate 91 again. This location is called Warehouse Point. Into the bridge over the Connecticut River. There it is. There's only one track across this river. The story is the bridge is leaning because of the one track. Trains going over it. You need to put the other track back in to balance it a little bit. Springfield Line in New Haven days was a two-track line all the way through. And now we're curving to the south again, where we'll more or less remain for the rest of our journey until just before we get to New Haven. Canal here. Right around here, a secondary track comes in, the Suffield Secondary. That comes in from Hartford Bradley Airport. We're approaching Windsor Locks proper. And you'll see the locks where the town gets its name. US Highway 5 on the other side. There's a bowling alley here, and that was the site, I don't know if it's still here, I haven't noticed it, but that was the site of the PBA Greater Hartford Open, big bowling tournament. And you can see one of the locks there. Right here in town is where the old Windsor Station used to be. The building is still standing, but they don't stop here. They stop further south, just off the Interstate 91 interchange.
Now arriving, Windsor Station.
Here's Interstate 91 right here. So we're looking at the mighty Connecticut River. That empties down into the Long Island Sound just near Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Good to get the horn blowing on these trains now, because it looks like, from what I've seen on the way up, they're putting in those stationary horn at the railroad crossings that sound the horn when the gates go down. Built-in horns. Detestable. I'm not a fan of those things. Never have been, never will be. Tell you what I think of them. I don't want my videos to be rated R. Do away with horn blowing. You know me, I'm a big horn guy. Back here it sounds like a K5LA, but has a somewhat different sound, different tone, different chord. Back to double track again, where it'll remain all the way to New Haven. coming into Windsor,
Now
Connecticut.
arriving, Windsor Station.
Windsor Station is an old CP train station in Montreal years ago. It's not there now. Now it's Lucien Alieu Station. But it was called Windsor Station. But what he's implying is the town of Windsor, Connecticut, which is supposedly the oldest town in Connecticut. It's got a nice old station building still standing. Well, this is the first time I've ridden a CT rail train out of Springfield. Past trips I took on it, a round trip, New Haven to Hartford, and a one-way to Springfield, coming back on a Amtrak train. Well, here's the Windsor Station building, which is now the Windsor Arts Center. It's the old freight house, actually. See those air horn contraptions attached to those crossings? They're in that black box high up on a silver pole. Moving right along. Yeah, they really upgraded the track on this. Ah, there it is. That was the Vermonter between Washington and St. Albans. Train 56. On the Springfield line, you can interchange tickets between Amtrak and CT rail trains. In other words, you can buy a CT rail ticket, ride CT rail, and those Amtrak shuttles. Fare is the same. The only exception to that is the Vermonter. They charge the Amtrak fare for that. Horn sounds nice, although I think you could lay on it a little bit more. Oh well, beggars can't be choosers. We'll be coming into the Hartford area. We just passed a floodgate. concrete wall alongside the tracks. Looks like a floodgate, a dike. Yeah, you can see the Hartford skyline approaching. Hartford, Connecticut. Not the largest, but it's the state capital. Not the largest city. Practically dead center of the state of Connecticut. It's the insurance capital of America. It was also home, formerly, to the Hartford Whalers NHL team and the New England Whalers WHA team. Hartford is also the home of ESPN. Started here in 1979. Do you remember one of its first broadcasters? That was Tom Mees. He had a baby face look about him, boyish look. Unfortunately, he died early. He couldn't swim. He drowned in his neighbor's swimming pool. This is Hartford Yard here. Connecticut Southern works this facility. Today we've seen the biggest cities of Connecticut. Stamford, Bridgeport, New Haven, Hartford. Here's the Connecticut Southern Engine Yard. I see a couple of Jeeps here and a couple of B39-8s over there. There's a Jeep 38. New England Central painted GP 38. Okay. Passing by the old Hard Tower. That track you see at the far end there coming in, that was the secondary line of the New Haven Railroad that went to Boston. That line went east through Willimantic, Blackstone, Massachusetts, Franklin, and on into Boston. Part of that is used by MBTA commuter trains from Franklin to Boston. A tunnel. Not a long tunnel.
Hartford Station. Please double check to make sure you have all of your personal belongings. Watch your step on the way out, and thank you for riding. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, bridge we're going underneath is Interstate 84. Follow that west, it'll take you to Scranton, Pennsylvania. Follow it east, it'll take you up to the Massachusetts Turnpike. Yeah, like I said, it's the insurance capital. United Healthcare is here, People's United is here. The Hartford Insurance Company is here. Here's the Hartford Depot. When this service started back in 2018, couple of months after it started, I took a ride up here and walked into the station at the time. The thing I remember most about going in that depot at that time was the smell of mildew. I hope they got rid of that very stale smell. Oh. Okay, on our way out of the state capitol. Next stop is Berlin, spelled B-E-R-L-I-N. Downtown Hartford. State Capitol building in here is magnificent.
Good afternoon, CT Rail passengers. Please take notice of all emergency exits.
It's one of the best looking state capitals in the country.
Next stop, Berlin, followed by Meriden, Wallingford, State Street, and New Haven Union Station. Please have your tickets out ready. Thank you for riding.
Gorgeous. Gold-plated dome. Curving a little to the southwest here, but trackage south of Hartford is probably has the highest speed limits on it. I know the Amtrak can do 110 in spots. I'm not sure where those are. I remember one ride I took out of Springfield. It was summer of 1971. It was a Penn Central GP9. Penn Central painted was a former New Haven one with a Hancock air whistle, 2 cars, and the conductor let us stand in the front vestibule right behind that GP9. Oh boy, I wish I had a tape recorder with me. Between the track sound and that 567 engine revving up and that Hancock air whistle blowing constantly. That was an awesome experience. It was almost as good as riding in the cab. Yeah, this line in Penn Central days was the domain of GP9s, mostly pulling passenger trains. New Haven's diesels, for the most part, they all had Hancock air whistles. All the FL9s did. There are FL9s running around today that have K5LA horns. To me, an FL9 isn't an FL9 unless it has a Hancock air whistle. I guess I'm just a purist. Still hear that Hancock air whistle and that GP9 ringing in my ear sometimes from that trip. Oh, that was awesome. You'd start up from a station, rev up that engine, the clickety-clack of the wheels. Oh God. One of those I wish I had a tape recorder moments. Asking a lot of track equipment. gets into New Haven at 3:22. I hope to catch the southbound Vermonter in New Haven changing engines. Try to get that on video. Trust me when I say that this track wasn't always this well engineered. Penn Central days it wasn't. And New Haven was bankrupt the last few years before they dissolved in February of 60. No, that was actually January 1st of 69. They never knew if they were going to survive another day. Trustees were threatening to rip up all the real estate and all the track if they didn't become part of Penn Central, which they ultimately did. That was when the New Haven officially ended. It's like taking a basket case and making it 100 times a basket case. We all know what happened at Penn Central. The state of Connecticut has done a lot with this line. A commuter business has been established. A lot of people use it to go to Hartford. Springfield has quite a few trains. It's like a little mini corridor. You got a few freight trains mixed in from Connecticut Southern. Connecticut Southern is one of those Genesee, Wyoming companies. They own a large number of regional railroads.
Station.
Penn Station. There used to be a beautiful old brick station building here. They tore it down and they built this. Notice the gauntlet tracks here. That's done so the freight trains that go through here don't mess up the platform. Okay, next stop is Meriden. Conductor on this train is a nice young man. He's been with CT Rail for about 6 or 7 months. Previously worked on CSX, Boston Line. He likes working here a lot better. More predictable hours, shorter days. Working on a freight railroad is, you know, it's good for a younger person. It's tough on an older person. The problem with the younger people is they get furloughed a lot. Somewhere around here there's a lake. I'm not sure what the name of it is. Crystal Lake maybe? I don't know. But you'll see it on this side. Nice. Here it is. one famous railroad landmark, railroad-oriented landmark. It's further south on the right side. You won't be able to see it. It's the Brick Oven Pizza. Part of the restaurant, or whatever it is an old Brill-built Broad Street subway car from Philadelphia. Just past milepost 20, measured from New Haven. An old railroad bridge up here. Not sure what that railroad line was. Again, viewers who see this, you know, inform me of things that I am not sure about. Coming into Meriden. Some nice old-fashioned buildings here in Meriden. Takes on a characteristic of a New England community. Next stop is Wallingford.
Good afternoon, CT Rail passengers. Please take notice of all emergency exits in your area. If you have any questions, please ask. Next stop, Wallingford, followed by State Street and New Haven Union Station. Please have your tickets out and ready. Thank you for riding.
Seems to be a permanent slow order in effect here. There's another one of those things I'd like to nuke. Those poles with the built-in horn mechanisms. It's to warn the engineer that they don't have to blow the horn. There's a lot of them popping up on this line. Ugh. Ad nauseum. US Highway 5. Like an old friendly ice cream place there. The Kiwi Spoon. Yeah, US Highway 5, like Interstate 91, runs all the way from New Haven to the Quebec border, northern Vermont. Crossing mechanisms are sprouting like kudzu. Oh. Yeah, see that thing? It's to warn the engineer that they don't have to blow the horn. Is there a sledgehammer around? Some dynamite?
Now arriving, Wallingford Station.
Alright, last stop before we get to the New Haven area. From here south to New Haven, they move pretty fast. A lot of grade crossings. Okay, leaving Wallingford, next stop is New Haven State Street. Let's check out that trackside brick oven pizzeria I told you about with the built Broad Street subway car. It's just south of here. The sun is in my eye. You may have a little trouble seeing it, but it's here. Just keep an eye out for it. You'll see that subway. It's painted in the Broad Street subway colors. Somewhere. This overpass. There it is right there. See it? Broad Street subway, grill car. You should make some good speed here now. parallel US Highway 5. Not exactly a scenic area. When I rode those Springfield trains back in the early 70s, that Hancock air whistle was blowing like crazy down here. When I was riding behind steam. And that's why the New Haven Railroad got those Hancock air whistles. You know, they wanted them to sound like steam whistles, steam engine whistles. The Hancock 4700 air whistle. New Haven loves them. Outskirts of Cedar Hill Yard. I see another set of Roar turbo liners over there, like you see at New Brunswick at their maintenance way. See them? They used to run on the Empire Corridor. And this is part of Cedar Hill Yard, which was once a huge New Haven Railroad yard. And the coaling tower is still here too. There it is. Back in '72, a friend of mine and I walked from New Haven train station to here on a cold day. How the hell did we ever do that? It's a long walk. Okay, coming up on the left here is the Amtrak Shoreline to Boston. Note the catenary poles. This stretch of track through here sees the operations of 3 passenger carriers: Amtrak, CT Rail, and Shoreline East. When you get to State Street, Metro North is thrown in because some of the trains from New York terminate at State Street on weekdays. I think this area we passed is Airline Junction. There's the Shoreline. We're in good shape. Doing a 322, I got 309. Okay, I think this interlocking right here is Mill River. I think that track over there that goes off is the Bell Dock Pier Industrial Track. Get off at New Haven, charge my battery a little bit, do some rail fanning before I take my train back to Grand Central. I probably won't leave here until after 5. But between now and 5 o'clock, a lot of Amtrak trains stop here at New Haven Union Station. A couple of Acela Expresses, an eastbound and westbound regional, and the westbound Vermonter. Okay, we enter Metro North territory here.
Now arriving at State Street Station. You're making a Metro North connection heading towards Grand Central. If you'd like to leave a little earlier, directly across the platform is your train.
Not just yet. Yeah, this is one of those State Street originating Metro North trains with the omnipresent M8s. That's been a good ride. Very superbly engineered right of way. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Should be a little early into New Haven. New Haven Union Station, that is. We're already in New Haven.
Make sure you have all your personal belongings. Watch your step on the way off. And thank you for riding. Have a good rest of your day. If you're making a Metro North connection heading towards Grand Central and you did not get off the train, 320 on track 14 if you hustle. And if you'd like to take the later one, 339 on track 14.
Very informative, young man. Thank you very much. I think this is a Shoreline East train for New London here. Good ride. Time is 3:16. 4 minutes early. 6 minutes early, excuse me. Great ride. Wonderful to ride behind these classic dinosaurs. They're still doing the job.